But Donovan, you got to go to a preview event in New York. We were able to tweet that you were there last week. Uh,
Which is huge. That's I usually can't even do that.
yeah, usually it's uh like you can't even take a picture in the building, and there's all these sorts
No.
of rules. But yeah, this week, or I guess last week, you were in New York at a Metroid Prime 4 Beyond preview event where you got hands on with the game. So, what are you allowed to tell us about, and what did you think of the game? What are you allowed to say?
I can cover pretty much everything I played, which was about I think an hour and some change, maybe but somewhere between an hour and a half of the game. I got to do handheld very briefly for like 15 minutes, and then the rest of it was TV mode. And I played through a couple different segments. Based on my context clues, one I was pretty sure was like the game's opening, because it gives you like the, all these years in the future, blank is happening, Samus is awesome, and then, intro cinematic. And then I did some exploration on a like a jungle sort of planet that they had. Off the bat, game looks and feels beautiful. I think something we've talked about a lot on this show is like that next gen like feel to video games, especially when it comes to Switch 2 and how like some games have had them and some games haven't. Metroid Prime definitely feels like one of those games. So much so that playing it, I was like, I almost feel like this game should have been even more like front facing during the Switch 2 ramp up. Like, I mean, I know dev cycles and stuff, it probably wasn't as ready 6 months ago or whatnot, but like I'm like, man, this maybe should have been like the game they like built the Switch 2 launch around because it's gorgeous. Even in handheld, it runs beautifully. I think it's 60 handheld. I believe that's what it
Yeah.
was. It looked buttery smooth. Yeah.
Well, it you have an option. I was curious if they told you what you were playing in. Did they tell you were playing 4K, or did they tell you were playing 1080p when you were in docked mode?
Dock mode, they didn't tell me at all, but it looked like 120 when I was
Okay, so
docked.
yeah,
And
if you
then,
if you were playing 120 docked, you were playing at 1080p, and if you were playing at
mm,
120 handheld, you're playing at 720p. So it's like performance mode is 720p, 120 FPS in handheld, 180
mm,
or sorry, 1080 p, 120 hertz on docked. That's what I played 180 or sorry, 1080p 120 hertz at the April preview event and the demo I tried. So I think they're showing that off because it's just cool to see a Nintendo game pushing 120 hertz. Like you're like,
yeah.
whoa. But also to your point about how good it looks, the remaster they did, David, on the OG Switch, actually looked really good, and
Yeah.
that was on a Switch, right? So it's like there is this thing that Nintendo does, Donovan, where like they do more with less a lot of the time, and they have amazing artists, right? And like they've shown this generation that with things like DLSS, like the super sampling that NVIDIA chips allow for, you can take something that's 1080p and make it look amazing in 4K. But yeah, like I found that the Metroid Prime remaster on the original Switch looked great too. So it's not that surprising that it looks good. I've also played it. Um, so in handheld, how did it play? Like it looked good. It played good.
Looked good, played good. It uses it's optional, but it also uses the like gyro aiming thing that you do in like Breath of the Wild and like Splatoon and stuff, which I like. I always use that in Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom when I like shoot arrows and stuff. And I found myself just naturally doing it in this because obviously it's a first-person shooter game, and you're fighting enemies and stuff. And I was doing it to get that little perfect tweak to my aim, but felt good. I felt very few limits playing in handheld. Again, it was very short. I just went through like a couple corridors and fought a boss,
Mm-hmm.
and then they moved us on to the next segment. But I thought it looked and felt great in handheld.
Nice. So the
Yeah.
docked experience, you said you kind of started off with like what is probably the beginning of the game. I feel like we've seen it was one of the directs that they had earlier this year where they I think they showed us something similar down and maybe not the very beginning, but that like you're in like a base area and there's like a lot of people around. Was that kind of what you saw?
So that's what I played at handheld. Yeah, because it was like it opens the game up. I don't remember the text, but it's like green text on a black screen, and they're telling you about, the state of the galaxy and all that. And then there's like battle warfare. It's a cutscene. Samus's ship flies in, it's shooting around. It lands, and then they do this really cool thing where it's all in widescreen because you're watching a cinematic. And then her ship lands, and she rises up out of the top. And as she rises out, the aspect ratio just expands to fill out the rest of the like screen. And I
Nice.
was like, that's fucking badass. As
Yeah.
I was doing it, then you jump into first person and you're running around shooting stuff.
Nice. That's cool. To your point about
Yeah.
like launching with this, it's just not the Metroid franchise is just not that popular in Japan. Like they had to go with something more popular in Japan. Obviously, Mario Kart and Mario uh, might have been the perfect choice for this launch. With
Yeah.
the sales and all that. But yeah, like here in America, I think this is going to be one of those games where it's like how to demonstrate the value of the Switch 2 this holiday is this game, not necessarily Pokemon, right? Like Pokemon plays perfectly fine, looks really fine on a Switch 2, but graphically is not going to blow your socks off, right? This will. And I think this is like also that uh this is FPS, right? And like Nintendo Switch 1 was not an FPS console. Like we didn't really get we got Doom and Doom Eternal, but like I've talked about it a lot on this podcast. There hasn't been a COD on a Nintendo system for years. There hasn't there we don't see the Battlefield games or a lot of the multiplayer shooters. PUBG never made its way to Switch. So like for Nintendo to have a first party FPS game that it looks and runs quality, I think you're right. It's another one of those like key differentiators. I think going into the holidays here in America, it makes a lot of sense for this to be the game to ramp up like hype for going into like, holidays here in America. But
Mm.
did you get to try out mouse mode?
I played mouse mode for practically the entirety of my TV mode time because they put us at these stations where you had your Switch. It's kind of like the perfect use case for TV mode and mouse mode because it's like a desk, but they have like a massive like 50-inch TV like 10 feet back behind you, and they gave me like a I actually have a little show and tell. They gave us these like mouse pads to use. It's a like a Metroid themed mouse pad. I can open it while
Ooh.
I talk here. Yeah, it's got like Samus on it, and that's what they put like the Joy-Cons on, so you could comfortably slide them around without doing it on like a wooden table. And mouse mode was good. It was great. I loved it. It was so natural and intuitive, like we've talked about on this show, also similar drag and drive, where it's just the pickup and if you're in a cutscene, you're just holding the clicking A, getting through cutscenes, and then your time to shoot something, you just immediately plant that thing back on the pad and start swiping around and you're aiming.
Yeah,
There's still
sorry, go ahead.
good.
I know. I was saying it's cool when like when you're in. I call it Homer Simpson mode when you have the Joy-Con detached. Oh man, that looks really fucking dope.
This is
Yeah.
sweet. I just opened
Uh,
it for the first time. This is what we were using at the event, and I was like, I kind of want one of these, and they gave us one.
it's like an ultra wide. For the folks listening on the podcast, I don't know why you're listening to us. You should be watching us on YouTube. But yeah,
Do a lot of visual
it's like a
gag here.
widescreen version of the key art for the game, with Samus
Yeah,
and her whatever her whatever that power is, David, that she has in this game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Whatever that power is.
but yeah, I love the continuity, being able to jump from being in mouse mode with like one hand up, doing regular locomotion, but then aiming, like turning. David, you know this in an FPS, turning with a mouse is just so much faster than you can do it with a controller. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
like I think that's the thing that I noticed in my demo, Donovan, was like, wow. And it makes a lot of sense to demo the mouse alongside a 120 hertz, in my opinion, because it's like it's the snappiness of it all. You're like, whoa. I think we talked about this in the past, David. Like, you're probably going to play this in 120, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's like a huge selling point for this game is like it's the first one. And yes, this is a podcast where I talk about this franchise at least multiple times a month. But the first thing I said when I played this, I looked at the person from Treehouse standing there watching me play Metroid, and I was like, "Can we please have an F-Zero at 120 hertz? That would be great." Anyway, But yeah, it's I thought that the mouse 120 hertz combo Donovan was like really like this wow moment for me back in April. It sounds like you had a similar experience.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I will say, while I was playing it, I thought to myself, is this how I'm going to actually play this game from beginning to end at home? And I think the answer might be probably not, just because, like I said, the station we were at was like the perfect use for a mouse mode because
Yeah.
it's like a desk, but also still has like a huge ass TV on it. This is not how I play games at home. Like if I'm in my living room, it's more like my arms are like outstretched and I'm like looking up or they're like on my leg. I don't know if I'll do that. I'll probably just lean back and play with the controller and get over it. But
Yeah.
it does work really well if you have that kind of setup.
That's the problem is like I think for a lot of us like the docked Nintendo Switch experience is a couch experience, right? And I'm like
Yeah.
I'm not really we all work on computers all day. Like yeah, like I don't know, Dom, do you play Fortnite with keyboard and mouse?
I do. Yeah.
So like when you're playing on PC and you're getting sweaty, sure. I know David, you play Resident Evil and a lot of your FPS games with keyboard and mouse. But like when you're chilling on the couch, you know, unless you're reviewing one of the hottest games of the year, Welcome Tour, like David did, you're not
Yeah.
really using the mouse function very often. Like the game that I think God, I would love for them to at least just give us a Switch 2 update for, Mario Maker 2 would be the one where I would be on the couch using mouse mode. Right? Like cuz it's not as active kind of a thing. Like I would be able to do that and just kind of chill. Cuz you're right, like I know it works fine on different fabrics and different surfaces and stuff, but every demo, Donovan, I've seen of this game, they've had like a giant keyboard mat style setup, and then yeah, like you said, there's a TV in front of you. So it seems like they're framing it in a way where it's like you could plug this in at your on your computer monitor and play it at your desk kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't know how many people are gonna do that. And the Pro Controller is perfectly fine. Like that's the thing. Like this game was built for a controller years ago. And obviously, you know, there was the Wii era where you could point at things, but like yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting. That's actually a Shack chat maybe down the road. It's like how are you going to play Metroid or how are you going to play Metroid? What control scheme are you going to use to play Metroid Prime 4? Maybe we can ask the folks
Uh,
at home too.
I have a pitch for a new weird Nintendo accessory that a company only like Nintendo would make. You know how they sell those like trays that you can put on your lap for like dinners and stuff? I had this when I was a kid. It
Yeah.
was like a little like plastic tray. You put your food on, it just keeps it all level. Nintendo should sell one of those that I can put on my lap, but it's just like a felt like matte like cover on top, so I can like sit on my couch and play mouse mode like in my lap without putting the Joy-Con on my jeans or thighs, whatever they want me to do.
Or like your
And you just put
arm,
little characters on
like
them.
the arm of your couch or
Yeah.
something, or like on your lazy boy arm. Like, yeah.
Yeah, just give me like a thing I can just like throw over my lap and then comfortably play mouse mode on
I'm
the
sure
couch.
they would love to sell that to you for like $80.
They would, yeah.
And it would cost them $10 to make.
Donovan, do you still have to? So one of the fundamentals of Metroid Prime, the series, is you're scanning a lot of items in the environment. Do you still have to do that? And how was that in with mouse mode?
All the time, yes. You scan things with ZL, which is like the left trigger on the Joy-Cons, which is not the one you're holding for mouse mode if you're a righty.
Yep.
Because you know you have the right hand planted. Left is one I'm kind of just holding willy-nilly like a nunchuck. But yeah, you would hold ZL. It does the little do 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 as you scan, and then it'll tell you what the thing is. And if it's like an objective, it'll give you like a rundown, like, oh, this needs a shock of electricity to operate, or this needs a psychic moat to open up. And yeah, you use that for everything. Whenever there's like a door you can't open, or like a statue that won't turn around, you can use on like enemies and like random like flowers and plants and stuff in the overworld. And some of that stuff won't like, I guess the term would be proc or like activate until you scan it. Like sometimes there'll be a door where like even if you know the solution, you need Samus to scan it first, and then it'll be usable. So yeah, that's all over there. And I actually, since you brought that up, David, something that I really liked about this game, since it is like first person, all the UI is kind of like it's like Samus's HUD, right? Like in the helmet. And that's kind of how all the information is conveyed to you. And I noticed like such a cool detail. When I pause the game to bring up the map, it goes black momentarily as it brings up the map. But you can see like Samus's like face reflected in the
Yeah.
visor as she like opens it up. You see like her eye as you're bringing up the map. It was like such a cool detail. Yeah, very immersive.
I can't remember which game it was, David, but like when there was explosions and stuff in one of the Prime games, you could see her eyes on like it like the reflection of her eyes at times.
All of them do that. In
Yeah,
fact, like if you would get zapped or something, you'd see her kind of like shake and there'd be static on the
Mm.
screen and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
that's really
Okay.
cool.
it's kind of like the RoboCop point of view at times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that no, I love that from an immersion standpoint, Donovan. I think it's like a really cool little detail that I guess it has evolved since the first GameCube game. Uh,
Mm. Something else that stuck out to me, and you guys have played more Metroid games than me, so you have to tell me if this is consistent with the franchise. But this game had some like funny writing in it. Specifically just like Samus being the straight man, where she's just like this stoic, almost like Doom guy or like Master Chief, where she just like hardly talks. She just stands there like broad-shouldered, grabs weapons, shoots things. There was a mission where I had to help this soldier who was like stuck in like the trees. His like ship had crashed and he was like stuck on top of it. And I get him down and he's like, "Oh, you're Samus," and he's like all eccentric and like talking about how he got stranded and he's making all these random jokes and stuff. And he'll say like a punchline and Samus will just turn and look at him and then like look away and like go back to what she's doing. And I just kept laughing. I was like, does she always have like these I don't know, these silly interactions with characters? I thought it was pretty funny.
Not
so
really.
no,
It's more of like a somber game. Like if you look at the opening to Super Metroid, it'll actually give you chills just with how dark it is.
yeah,
Mm,
Um,
she's also alone in a lot of these games.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is a
mm,
little bit different. I guess 3 was similar in the beginning, but like she's usually alone. It's a solitary kind of game. Where I did see a little bit of this was in Dread, David, with Adam, the AI that like at the save
Yeah.
points and stuff. Adam is actually quite hilarious in that game.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm kind of surprised you're still alive. Like, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that was really only in Dread recently. Like, I agree. Super Metroid is this very dark, scary, ambient noise kind of game. And the original Metroid, you're alone, right? And it's just you versus the enemies a lot of the time. But Samus is kind of like Doom Guy in a lot of ways, I think they've given her more attitude by like including her in other games like Smash and stuff. But like, that's why like when we talk about this would be a cool movie, like if they do it like one of the Alien films, right? It could be. But if it was like a Ridley Scott horror movie, like I could really get into that. But let's just hope it's not like the Doom movie with The Rock, David.
There you go. But no, you're right. But you're right.
uh, yeah, but I thought it was great. I don't know how involved this character will be in the story. I forget his name, but it's like some like soldier guy you find, and he fights with you and stuff. You can like he'll go down. You have to like go like pick him up and like res him, so he'll keep fighting with you and stuff. And he just constantly like is talking and saying random shit to Samus, and she of course doesn't utter a word back to him ever. But I thought it was pretty funny.
That's interesting though, because like I think I think they tried to humanize Samus a little bit in recent years. Uh,
Hmm.
that's cool. Enemy design, boss battles, like what can you say on that front?
Yeah, a lot of like standard alien enemies. I did two boss battles, both of which were pretty cool. The first one I did in handheld mode. Was this big like monster that had these little like spherical like holes that would open. They're like eyes almost that would open up on his body,
Yep.
and they're like weak spots. As they opened, you hit him, and then he would like go into like a knocked out state. You'd do damage to him.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I really liked though was the one I did in TV mode, where it's essentially this monster with these like tentacles. It starts off with like one, then two, then three tentacles, and they will like swipe at the ground. You've got to like jump. They'll swing at you in the air and whatnot. But the gimmick is that each of the tentacles has like these. They almost look like pineapples. They're like these little like bulbs, but they're like covered in spikes. You have to like shoot them to get the spikes off, and then you hit the like vulnerable bulb, and then the arm will go away. And if you get rid of all the arms, then the creature becomes vulnerable. But the catch is that when you destroy an arm, it's only gone for like 2 seconds until it reforms. So I sat there for like minutes, just like shooting the arms really quick. And I'm like, I don't get how you're supposed to have all three of these gone at once. And then one of the demoists came up to me and was like, "Oh, maybe try that one thing you unlocked earlier, because there is an ability you can use where you fire like this tri-blast, and it sends out these three orbs, and they go in slow motion. And each one that hits, you lose one, but the rest keep going. So you essentially had to guide like a missile to hit all three arms in slow mo, and then you'd snap out, and then all three of its things would go down, and then you run up and hit it. I thought that one was really fun.
That's cool. That sounds different than my demo. The first boss that you played, I definitely played that boss in the demo in April.
Okay.
So it sounds like the second boss was probably the new one. That's interesting. We were talking about this last week, so I want to ask you here. Did you get to try the motorcycle?
I did not get to try the motorcycle Viola. I didn't even see it during
David,
my demo time.
David, I think you're right to be worried about it.
Well,
I think
Donovan, what were you telling me before we recorded, though? You have some thoughts on the motorcycle, I think.
yeah. So I didn't see it. They talked about it a little bit. They were just saying that it's kind of used to go from place to place, like when they were talking about the game. But the way they talked about it didn't seem like a thing that you would like manually pilot. My theory right now is that it's more of a hub navigator, essentially.
Yeah,
The way it was talked about.
that's what
And
I
even
was
looking,
saying.
whenever they tweet about it, it's always like a cutscene of it driving
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's very cinematic looking. It doesn't look like
Maybe
you're
it's
actually
a loading screen in disguise or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like in Destiny 2,
Yeah.
like maybe the coolest part of Destiny 2 is you get to pick your spaceship, and that's just a freaking loading screen. Like it might be that here.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the case, I guess that's not the worst thing, David, from a locomotion standpoint. But this brings me to my next question: did you get to try out Morph Ball gameplay, Donovan? Were there any puzzles or platform puzzles that you had to solve with that?
Yeah, a lot. So there were a bunch of sequences where there'd be like almost like a tube sort of structure, like you'd be in a lab and like it's all broken down and burning, but there's like a little area where Morph Ball Samus can squeeze through, and you'd pop in and you'd go, and it's like camera gets all wonky, and you're going towards it and backwards and up and down and whatnot, and you'd pop out on the other end. Um, a couple puzzles that used it, like there was a door later in my demo that I had to like go into the morph ball like on the door and then like drop like a bomb and then jump out so that it would like blow up and open the door for me. Um, yeah, I also just like using it to roll around in between sections because it's fun.
Yeah. No, I was curious because, David, you're right that locomotion is such a huge part of these games, both the 3D FPS games, but also the side scrollers.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm happy that the motorcycle isn't gameplay in a sense, David, that we don't have to worry about like bland gameplay, but also it's like, was this just shoved into the game as like I don't know. I'm
A
just,
loading screen.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, like it's kind of like I think I said this on the podcast, but Donovan and I again were talking about this before we started recording, and as long as it's not like the Batmobile in Arkham Knight where it's shoehorned into like there was a part in
Yeah.
Arkham Knight where you had to shoot something with Batmobile, get out, like grapple, get back into the Batmobile, shoot something else. It was just so tedious, and like Batman wouldn't do that. Batman would have some clever solution, right?
Yeah.
So would Samus. And so as long as it's not shoehorned in like that, I feel like it will be fine.
That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, like I said, my working theory is that it's mostly just a loading thing, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is part of like one or two major set piece like battles or something. Because we have that shot of her doing the Akira slide in that last trailer, which that seemed like a little bit more than just you've arrived at the next location. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a battle where you do have to like drive and shoot, but it's like a one-off thing.
Look, if there's like a cool chase scene featuring it, I'm not going to be mad. I love chase scenes, right?
Sure.
But like, let's not make a whole game around it. It doesn't sound like they did that. This is very much an action adventure game, right? Like,
So, yeah.
but interesting. So sounds like the boss battle that I played, the scale of it was pretty cool. It
Yes.
seems like the level design is interesting, where there's going to be some morph ball stuff going on. Did you get to use that power in her hand?
Yeah, her psychic ability is what it is, yeah. Where that's why, like, I think it's in some of the key arts now, her visor and stuff was all like purple, and she's got that like purple tint to her now. Yeah, she's straight up got psychic powers now, due to events of the story, where you can like summon like these you can pull like these psychic motes, which you use for a lot of the puzzle solving. There were a couple of really cool like doors I had to open where you would grab them with the psychic power and it'd be like some sort of like notch, and then you had to like move them along like a path, either using like I used the mouse controls, but I think you could just use the analog stick as well. But there was one where I essentially had to like draw like this symbol with the mouse, and I'm like moving it around, and it's like slowly opening this old door. Um, yeah, you can use psychic powers. It seemed mostly puzzle related, but I'm sure it'll be a combat thing too.
You know, it's weird. It kind of reminded me of Half-Life Alex. So
Mhm.
some of what Alex could do with her those gauntlet, what are they? The gloves, whatever the hell they called them. Where like she could like grab things easily with it. It's like a way to turn picking up stuff into a game explain it, right? So it's not just they're able to teleport things. Yeah, I'm interested, man. This is like God, how many years have we been waiting for this? Since announcement, it's like 8 years or something close to that. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
long time.
it's about damn time. So you're excited? You're down to play this?
I'm really looking forward to this game. Yeah, I was never the biggest Metroid person just because I wasn't exposed to those games growing up. I just completely missed them. But I was moderately looking forward to this, and having now played it, I'm like, yeah, I think I'll probably just like play this from beginning to end this December when it comes out. So looking
It was
forward to
funny
it.
how like the April 2nd preview event was set up for me because like you walk into this and there's like 30 or 50 TVs in this room, right? The first thing I tried was drag and drive. Why I don't know, but it was the first thing there. And then there's Mario. Then there was Mario Kart World. There's a whole room dedicated to Mario Kart World, right? And then as you're going into this third room, there's like Cyberpunk and Civ and like all these third party games. And then there's this whole corner of just Metroid, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, right? Like some of my favorite games. So I'm like, of course I'm going to try this. And the last thing before I went into the Donkey Kong room, which had its own dedicated room too, was Metroid Prime 4. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. It's been in my head ever since I played it. I played it back in April, and I haven't stopped thinking about it because I agree with what you said earlier. I think this is a showpiece of the technology of the Nintendo Switch 2 in like a lot of ways. Where it's like the optionality, David. Like, yes, you can play it with the Pro Controller, and you'll probably love it with
Yep.
the Pro Controller. But here's this mouse option, and it's actually good. Like, it's actually
Right.
well implemented. And like even with Welcome Tour, I think it showed off that the mouse is actually very well made. Like the mouse functionality of the Switch 2, it's not wonky, it's not shoehorned in. It's not a Wii U gamepad. It's not like a heart monitor sensor that they never shipped. It's actually something useful. And I think it's an accessibility thing too. Like I think that having pointer features in a system, in a console, will allow for other accessibility options. So I think it's very cool what they're doing on that front. Is there anything
Um,
else you want to tell the folks at home about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond?
yeah, I mean, this is just a bigger picture thing. If this game like lands and is as good as I think it's going to be, and I haven't been like fooled by my own preview and marketing, it'll be a good like button like cherry on top for the Switch 2's launch year. I saw somebody point out a fact that I hadn't thought of. Metroid Prime 4 is going to come out closer to the Switch 2's launch than Super Mario Odyssey was to the Switch 1's launch by an entire month. Um, which at that point, that's a pretty strong launcher, I think, after things have shaken out now with I was gonna say Cart 8, Cart World, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Pokemon, and then Metroid Prime to kind of top it all off, just from June to December, um, will have been a pretty strong run.
And they threw a Hyrule Warriors in there on the side too. Uh,
That as well, yeah.
but yeah, what a great way for Doug Bowser to end his time at Nintendo. Thank you for heading over to New York to preview Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Donovan. That was very cool.
Anytime.
I guess we'll have some gameplay that goes live too for the folks at home.
Oh yeah, handheld and docked.
Sweet. Looking forward to that, man. I think it's like an exciting way to end the year for this system's launch year.